If you suddenly had an infinite amount of money, what would be the first thing you would buy? One of those fancy self-cleaning cat litter boxes so my dog stops trying to eat cat shit. Infinite money. Legitimately, truly infinite money, I can never run out no matter how much I spend. A health insurance company. Plans cost $10 a month, and we have hardship plan for anyone who can't afford that. We cover everything, including vision and dental. There's a $10/visit copay and a $5/prescription fill copay, both waived for people on the hardship plan. Every hospital in the world is in network. The first thing I bought would be a fairly modest house with a nice yard for my son to finally have a yard to play in. Freedom from debt. UCS Millennium Falcon Lego set. Priorities, people, priorities. Anonymity. Plane ticket back home. Airplane. Pay mortgage fully. Aria milkshake. My own place to live. Tacos de al pastor y tacos de suadero with the agua de limon. My way out of all my debt. Then a house, then a car, then build my parents' retirement home, and etc. Earth. Y'all gots to go. Entire Earth. Easy. I'd buy all the big banks and then I'd forgive all their debt. You said infinite. Then I'd start buying soldiers. I'd buy all the tickets to a show by a band I don't like, say Snow Patrol. And I'd just sit there silently while they play until I walk out halfway through. But I'd make sure they finish the concert as they are contractually obliged to. Some governments so I could solve world hunger probably. A house. A lovely furnished place that's got a nice garden and some spare rooms for visiting friends. A good accountant to help me with the legalities. A nice long vacation to see all the people I love most, and all the places I've always wanted to go. I'd buy a vacation home, and then I'd buy all the medical debt in the US and forgive it. I'd also buy some logging land and try to rehabilitate the ecosystem on it. I was thinking in my state, but now I'm thinking maybe the Amazon would be more important. Fox and just have my naked butt in 24/7 like Hypnoto ad. Right here, right now. A nice lunch for me and my mom. All the medications I should be taking. Then I'm buying everything I've ever wanted to the Ren Fair and Dragon Con. An actual, thorough vet exam with a good vet for my dog's smiling face with tear. I adopted a senior dog 6 months ago and his health issues were not disclosed to me by the rescue. Spent $5,000 in 6 months and we've treated a few things, but a lot of it is still a mystery and it feels like I'm pouring money down the drain with all of the inconclusive testing. Our vet even missed a few very obvious things, like checking his teeth and not noticing that one in the front was rotten. If I hadn't pointed it out, he wouldn't even have noticed. If money wasn't an issue, I'd pay for every single test they could do, non-invasively, and buy whatever he needs to be comfortable for the rest of his days. I don't think I realized how much a vet care is. Can you pay thousands for these tests that aren't even guaranteed to give you answers? No, then good luck. After a house, I would buy an Mooney M20 Ovation airplane. It's kind of a dream of mine to own. I know that you're probably getting at the first ridiculous thing I would buy rather than the first thing that would certainly debit my new bank account balance, which would be a DoorDash order or something. The answer is an aircraft carrier. I just think they're cool. Also, all of these billionaires out here spending billions to build fallout shelters on huge swaths of land in tropical island chains, none of them are buying aircraft carriers. There are some perfectly good aircraft carriers that are struggling museums. There's one local to me, USS Hornet, https://uss-hornet.org. I wouldn't even want it to be entirely mine. I would just want it to be more or less fully functional and available for me to take out sometimes. I've thought about this more than I should. The Hornet is in rough shape. She floats, but she's got a fair amount of water in the engineering spaces from what I hear, and her engines will probably never run again. The flight deck was almost rusted through, and most of the stuff directly below the flight deck is in real bad shape too. She's a fine museum ship, but a mighty threat on the high seas she is not. So I'd make the foundation that hosts her a deal. She remains a museum, they get to continue doing everything they currently do, and I have a secondary museum built next to the pier. The deal is that in return for a full restoration and never having to worry about museum funding again, I get to take the ship out for at least 2 months out of the year. Admission is now free when she's in port. Meanwhile, I get to throw parties on my aircraft carrier in international waters from time to time. Also, I have a section of one of the decks converted to a really nice luxury apartment for myself and family to use whenever. I hire a crew to operate her and probably buy another old warship set to be scrapped and turn it into a similar museum/party ship hybrid. Make sure my crew is cross-trained so when one is in port I don't have to hire a new crew to take out the other one. I'll also need an aircraft capable of carrier landings and takeoffs that can fly around me and some friends in it, and a pilot that's good at those things. Probably a C-2 Greyhound or something. Then I hang a flag on it that says Elon Musk is a nerd and cruise it around the bay throwing a rager where everyone but Elon Musk was invited on the hangar deck. All of the world's major organizations, then I'll unmonopolize all of them. And fire as many CEOs as possible. I won't even let them back in the building for their stuff. I would take my dogs and cats to a 24-hour vet and get them all checked and cared for. Lots of land. A vasectomy. Then a hooker. Steak dinner. Freedom from my marriage. I'd tell my GF to quit her toxic job, and I'd take her to Italy. First, and most likely last, 100 pounds of cocaine. 2 chicks at the same time. Get a full detailed checkup. Every stock available for every company. Let's watch the world burn. A mid-sized house. I don't get why billionaires buy big mansions. Just buy a mid-sized house with everything you want in it. But I would love to live in that $250 million apartment penthouse in NYC. Just the right size. Some non-fiat store of value just in case. Then I'd buy a nice coastal remote property somewhere and live out my days. A live-in nurse to care of my dad and take the strain off my mom. Rare metals, because if I had infinite money, money would be worthless. After that I'd probably build a lot of infrastructure in poor countries and invest a ton of money into science.